Okay. Hey, what's up, you guys? I wanted to talk about these three thresholds that I have, these lines here you see on the screen. So just to orient you, we're at Bitcoin, price of Bitcoin with respect to USD. Here's the first pump we had this year, and the recent one that we had, where basically we're in this bearish trend right now, and a lot of people are really concerned about what's going to happen from here. And so three different thresholds have come up. One is the will-clemente. He's like the whiz kid analyst who does a lot of on-chain analysis using the Glassdoor graphs. He's pretty much the line in the sand for him is 53,000. He said if we go back to that, he's bullish again. And until then, he's not going to, I guess, well, be bullish. Essentially, what he said is that people question him, and in his comments, they said, "Hey, what's the deal? We thought you were a hodler. Are you trading? What's the deal?" He says he has two funds. He has a hodl trade or a hodl fund, which he just never touches. He just adds to it, and he has another fund that he trades. He doesn't say what the percentages are. As far as I know, maybe he does, but I haven't seen that. And so I think what he's referring to is he's not gonna trade in like a with an eye towards like a bullish market until we're back above 53,000. The So anyways, that's that. Now, why is 53,000 interesting as well? Well, it also coincides with Benjamin Cowen's he's basically saying, if you look at this band here, you see on the screen the red and the green lines. This is what he calls the bull market support band, and he's basically saying, look, you need to be above that in order for him to consider things to be bullish. And right now, as you can see, we're below it. We're looking at the weekly candles. So that's that line, and you can see they line up, right? So Clementa's line 53,000. You can see the bull market support band is very close to that. So there's a bunch of people who roughly agree that 53,000 is what we would need to be above for for the game to be back on, as far as bullish trends go. So that's number one. Now the second line here, 39,600. Why is that so important? Okay, this is what I guess we can call the Ben-Cowen bull market support line conjecture, or just it's an observation. I mean, we can't really fault him if this doesn't hold. It's just something that he's noticed. Basically, what he's saying is throughout the history, he's looked at the price history of Bitcoin through all time, and what he's saying is he's looked at, if you look at the bull market support band, what he's pointed out is that every single time Bitcoin holds the line at the bull market support band, and then recovers. So like he's saying we did this here, and you can see, okay, price goes up. Right here is the bull market support band. It tested it. We held the line, not for very long, but we did, and then we went back up. What he's saying is every time Bitcoin has done this, the price has never dropped below this level, and so far, even during this dip, this is held to be true. So that's why this is an interesting threshold. I labeled it held the line, right? So 39,600. Now, why did I pick 39,600? That's an interesting question. Is like, well, where do how do you decide at what value did we draw the line? Because some people can say like, well, let's suppose we held the line wherever the top of the band was, right? So maybe closer to here, 43,000, 44,000. And you've heard people mention those numbers like, oh, that's where I'm going to decide we're bearish if we cross below those levels, right? So you could look at those numbers. Or do you say, no, it's the bottom of the band, right? 40,000. Okay, where I decided to draw the line is I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say where did it wick down to? All right. Well, look, you can see there it wicked down to 39,600. That's the lowest, and that's being very generous. We're giving ourselves a lot of room there, because if you draw the line up here, I can already tell you, Cowan. If we drew the line up here and we drop below it, Cowan would say, well, maybe we need to go to the bottom of the band, and if we drop to the bottom, he's going to say, well, maybe we need to go to the wick. Okay, I'm going to save everybody the trouble and say, look, this is as good as it gets, man. If you drop below the wick, then come on. I don't think it holds. And again, I'm not putting this on him like, oh, this if it fails and he's wrong or anything. No, it's just something that it's an observation he made. It is a really interesting observation, and we'll see. One thing I do want to say about that is, you know, a lot of people feel like smart money, big money, they like to shake up the markets. I mean, they do. That's no secret. They like to shake up the markets, but it almost feels like they'll take some of these historically held thresholds and say, "Yep, it's time to violate that one," to scare people, right? It's like, "Oh yeah, we rarely go below this indicator, but you know, when it does, that's what usually scares people." So this is another one of those like they have, I don't know if if you want to think of it in terms of that, like smart money is like Illuminati or whatever is like I'm just kidding, right? But just whatever, big smart money is saying like, you know hey, we've respected this threshold thus far. Well, someday they're probably not going to, and that's going to scare a lot of people. I mean, clearly it's probably going to scare Cowan, right? I mean, I don't know if it will or not, but anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, like I say, that threshold there. It's an interesting one. We'll see what happens if we drop below it. Like we haven't yet, so no, we'll see what happens with that one. Okay, that's the second one. The last one is the Bob-Loukas cash out threshold. That's what I'm calling, and it's 30,000. Right? Give me 1 second. Okay, guys. So I'm like I said, I'm calling this the Lucas cash out threshold. So what is Lucas? It's this guy on YouTube, Bob-Loukas. He doesn't publish very often, which I like. He's not an influencer. He's not a YouTuber or whatever like these other people are. No crazy thumbnails. But he's got interesting analysis. And in his most recent video, this one, "Fear is Your Friend" or whatever, great video. It's really nice because a lot of his other videos are like really long. Well, not too long, I guess, but this one's short and sweet. And let's see here. Bring this one back over. In the most recent video, he says $30,000 is his cash out. Like if Bitcoin drops below that, he's getting the heck out. Like goodbye until we're back above it. Now, but he does refine his statement a little bit. He says, "Look, I never completely get out. I always hold a little bit just in case, or you don't never go to zero, right?" But he's gonna withdraw a bunch, and I would say that's reasonable. Um, but okay, everybody listen to this. Please keep in mind that when he pulls out at 30,000, trust me, he's still in the green. He's been in this for a long time. So for him, it's like an inconvenience. Like, it would have been nice, to have a nice bull run and continue to take profits on a schedule and whatever. But trust me, he's in the green when he's pulling out at 30. Trust me, a lot of people are. But a lot of people listening to this are not. A lot of people got in here and in here, and so everybody, like, that's his threshold, but you've got to have your own threshold. You've got to, and ideally it's some place where you got in you know it's a place where it's a threshold where when you sell out, you're still in the green, and that's obviously clearly very difficult if you got in here at the tops. So gosh, a lot of people seem to learn the hard way. They when there's a lot of frothiness in the market, they go in hard. Like again, it's the classic term, fear of missing out. And people learn the hard way, and they're hard lessons. I guess the with time, discipline comes, and again, experience and the smart money. What they typically do is if something looks interesting and they want to get in, they get in small, they get in conservative, and just say, look, there's going to be other pumps, there's going to be other cycles, there's going to be other coins. So don't burn all your investment fund on any one thing or any one pump. Just get in light. I mean, whatever. Obviously, I'm not advising you financially, but yeah. Anyways, my point is, this is his threshold. If you're in the green and you invested from a long time ago, yeah, 30,000 seems to be a decent number for when to cash out. Anyway, just sorry for all the rambling. So I guess just to conclude, if you lay out these three thresholds, you can see where we're at now is really interesting because we're smack dab in the middle of these two, like the bull line in the sand, and then like you know the bear line, I guess, and then like get that or run for the hills line over here. We're directly in the middle of these, which is really gives an interesting perspective. This is kind of a channel. I mean, are we going to hang out in here for a while? Kind of bouncing between the two. We haven't even wicked down to the held the line threshold. So if you want to take your trading view and plot these, I think this is a pretty decent view to keep a good perspective and to see what happens here on out. Um, okay, so I do have another comment about this. If we look at, everybody's talking about the double pump, right? Um, okay, we had the high here and then a low here, right? And then we had a higher high, not a very much higher high, but it's technically higher, I guess. Um, and so now people are wondering, like, well, what's up with, this, what's up with the next local low, right? Um, is it going to be a higher low? So like if we hang out in this area and then it bounces back up, hey, that's tremendous because that satisfies the pattern. A high, local high. Well, this was an all-time high at one point, right? All-time high, low, and then a new all-time high, and then a higher low relative to this one. That's pretty good. That's going to make people very happy, and that and this is why this time is so critical because that's exactly where we're at. We've already established the last higher high. We have not yet determined whether or not this is going to be another like higher low, and so that's why right now is so interesting to people. Um, if we end up dropping down to the held the line threshold and we hang out there, and that's where it bottoms out, I guess you can still technically say that was a higher low. So okay, good. Um, Bullish structure still intact, maybe in some people's opinion. It's the Lucas cash out threshold that if you were to come down to here, that's where it's like, okay, now you don't have a higher low. You had a higher high, but you don't have a higher low. And you line up with this, that's going to scare the crap out of people. And people are going to say, okay, like this, whatever you want to call it. Some people are afraid to call it a bear market. They say, oh, it's just an accumulation phase. And then they say, oh, we're not selling out. Oh, we're de-risking. Oh, people are coming up with all these funny terms, to call it what it is, man. It's freaking, it's bear territory. But, if you look at it from this perspective, I guess I could see how, people might say we're not quite there yet. We are in between these two thresholds. So keep an eye on that. Like I say, maybe plot these for yourself and use that to keep your emotions in check. Um, and by the way, call me out if one of the things I've gotten really sick of this past year is predictions from people. So many analysts that I tended to appreciate and have respect for, they couldn't help themselves and they would make predictions. And I can't tell you I mean, look at how many fairly respected analysts talked about the blow off top for December. And like, here we are. A lot of people got burned because of that, guys. So why even make a video or why share information? I think what is really valuable is presenting the facts, presenting some analysis, and just giving some perspective, and then you make your decision. No predictions, just you make your decision. I wish people would stick to that, but I think the people who make a living off of YouTube, um, it's too alluring. I think they want to make these predictions to get in the views, and it's just too tempting, and they pump the hopium, they get their views up, but are they going to pay the price? It doesn't even look like it. It seems like people just mindlessly go back and watch. And anyways, so yeah, I hope I didn't give any sort of prediction type vibe in this video. Like, I'm just trying to present some facts here and some perspective. Anything can happen at any time, right? So we'll see what happens.